Whispers from the Void by Barnoli Mulani. Treatise on the physical existence of that foreign realm. An excerpt. These little glimpses of the void in dreams, or described by those awoken from comas, are not limited to select few. In my interviews, I've gleaned that there is not a single citizen without such visions at one time or another. This, then, must be a real place, not folklore or mass delusion. Perhaps it exists deep below the earth, or far above it. Heaven or hell. Very subtle. Perhaps it is right next to us, but hidden. Some trick of the light, or wondrous curtain bars us from fully knowing it, and we all but wait for a natural philosopher to unlock the phenomenon, to show us how to see it at will. But when so revealed, it will not be a fearsome place any longer, not the distant and special realm described in the myth of the outsider. It will be strange, yes, even unsettling, but nonetheless, it will be a new realm for us to explore and eventually conquer. What new treasures await us there? Are the lakes made of liquid diamond, the clouds of weightless silver gas? And what things we would learn? Okay, calm down there, buddy. That's liquid diamond. Does sound very much like a diamond. Sounds like not good. But you do you, you do you. Seance notes. This is gonna be good. Month of Songs, Lady Coddington brought silk scarves from her boutique, one of which Mr. Prospero used to gently strangle her. I maintained a count of her pulse and observed her breathing. When the life signs faded, we left her still for 2 full minutes before reviving her. Was it really the void she described? Have we succeeded in seeing the unseeable? My hand trembles as I recall the intensity in her eyes as she struggled to recount with broken voice what she felt during those 2 minutes. Death. She was feeling death. Month of Earth, I convinced our little group that less gentle methods were needed if our desire to meet the outsider was sincere. Blood fly fever voluntarily induced. That will be our way to the void. Yeah, after procuring a few blood flies and some Addermeyer solution, we coated our hands with the elixir before exposing them to the vivarium. The stinging was unbearable. Lady Coddington fainted immediately. I was the last one to remove my hands. The fever was quick to set in. As I faded in and out of consciousness, ocean waves pounded above me. There were silhouettes in the distance and shimmering black rocks, a timeless passing in an unthinkable place, while delirium held us for a few hours. I must get back there as soon as possible when my wounds have healed. No! God! Letter to Bonneville. Major Bonneville, thank you again for your help. Without you, it would have been impossible to trace the final members of the Grand Guard who were with Stilton that night 3 years ago. The last man had made it all the way north to Maya, if you can believe it, and was recovering at a Tivian asylum for the poor, claiming to have seen all manner of strange things on the night of Stilton's last social gathering. He even described an exotic hooded figure visiting the manor, perhaps someone connected to Stilton's disappearance. Such matters are best left to military men such as yourself, I suppose. I still have your bank agent's name and address. Rest assured, your final payment will be delivered soon. I'm also sending a small flask of a liquor that is close to my heart, made from the pomace left over after wine grapes have been pressed. Please think of me as you enjoy. Yours truly, Brianna Ashworth. Child Empress. There is a definitive moment when people stopped calling Emily Caldwin the Child Empress. It came after an ambush by the Regenters, an extremist group who wanted to return Dunwall to the authoritarianism of the Lord Regent's time. On the way back to Dunwall Tower, Caldwin's carriage was blocked between 2 gates, with her attackers firing pistols and even throwing a grenade. With the royal protector too far away to be of service, the young Empress, only 14, found herself all alone in the carriage, save for her friend, Alexei Mayhew. Caldwin's supporters were lucky that Mayhew was there, as she was brave enough to grab a grenade that had landed at their feet, throwing it back at the assailants and saving the Empress. When one of the men dropped down from the forward gate, it was Emily Caldwin who yanked free a short railway brace and beat the man senseless with it. With the city watch closing in, the 2 girls held their ground against the debris of the carriage until the situation was secure. It is said that Emily Caldwin refused to have the Regenters executed for their crimes, and this is hailed by many as her first adult decision as Empress. Cited for her heroic actions, Alexei Mayhew was commissioned by the City Watch when she turned 18, and was later made captain by Emily Caldwin herself. That wasn't that the... Oh. I think that was the lady in the beginning of the game who... Oh! She seemed cool. Now there's a history? Ugh! Just twist the knife, guys. Kind of a robber. Southern Winds by Caleb Manley. Caleb Manley, natural philosopher. Sure. Got a tiny penis, I bet. Southern Winds, presented at the Academy for the benefit and moral edification of the pupils therein. Excerpt from a speech. Cherished students and learned colleagues, have you not heard the tales of Serkonos and the beauty of its people? I pose questions today that I hope to answer in great detail. Let's start with the ones commonly asked by travelers for many decades. Do I have a big penis? Yes! But in actuality, does the warmer clime affect the spiritual outlook of a people? Are those born in Tivia, Morley, and Gristle possessed of a more taciturn nature through the geographic and meteorological conditions of their birth? And are these subjects influenced by the obscure currents of warmer water and air that are channeled across the dreadful ocean from the Pandician continent itself? We know so little. We know so little about that far land. I can talk, I promise. In my travels, I have been impressed with the commonality shared across all cultures, but also in the differences. It's my goal to illuminate these areas of inquiry, and I will share at least one spicy Serkonan recipe with you before the day is done. Caleb Manley, natural philosopher. Manley, buddy, just change your last name, please. You can do better. Ew. A reflection on my journey to the Pandician continent, part 2. Oh, it's by Sokolov again. We were only miles from shore, but our approach was marred by numerous hidden reefs and jagged rocks. They lay shallow, and we spied 2 vessels that had succumbed to them some time ago. The remaining crew was uncharacteristically silent as we edged by the weathered wrecks. The first mate declared a particularly narrow channel to be unpassable, but the captain dispatched 10 crewmen onto the submerged coral with sledgehammers. Thereafter, each chest deep in water, they pulled the Antonia Aquilo into the tiny channel with ropes. It proved a marvelous solution. However, just as we were about to lower the rope ladders, tragedy struck, as the men were beset by a school of reef-dwelling eels. Apparently, their toxic bites were quite painful. From the railing, we could see them swarming the men, who begged us for aid before succumbing to the paralytic effects of the toxin. Within moments, all were still in the water. He's so just... bleh. We continue on, in silence, and by sunset we had cleared the bars and put anchor in a bay with a red rock beach and emerald overgrowth beyond. I confess I was near giddy to put my feet on land again. The smells of ripening fruits and warm earth was as pleasing to me as a cherished vintage. We gathered wood and made fires, and indulged in some tinned meat and lemons from our stores. How good it was to slumber on the beach with the crackle of embers nearby, having finally escaped the cramped and damp quarters of our vessel. We took turns with the watch and passed a quiet night. At last we stood on Pandician soil. Or was it the Americas? Just a light joke. Newspaper. Conservatory closure extended. A representative from the Royal Conservatory confirmed today that the site's closure has been extended once again, with no promise of when it might reopen. Curator Brianna Ashworth could not be reached for comment. Readers will remember that an infestation of mites in the Roseboro exhibit forced the closure nearly 6 months ago, though there have been rumors that no exterminators have been hired. The Roseboro exhibit was to be a prestigious event, sponsored by the Academy of Natural Philosophy, with hopes of attracting numerous experts and guest lecturers from across the Isles. This important exhibition is now on hold indefinitely due to the extended closure. For hopeful visitors, there is nothing to do but wait for further word. Well, in a book. Gathering of the Regenters, 2nd day, month of Timber, 1851. All members present. Primary agenda, possible actions for the upcoming anniversary of the death of Empress Jessamine Caldwin. Proposal by Corey Brockburn, letter to Karnataka Gazette, explaining that while her murder was reprehensible, the end results may have been positive for the Empire. Action, motion approved unanimously. Ew. Proposal by Janice Tynes. Members wear Lord Regent's crest armbands on the anniversary. Objection by Corey Brockburn. Lovely idea, but it may hurt business for members who need to deal with many clients on that day. Clients might find it in poor taste. Action. 4 votes against, 3 votes in favor. Motion rejected. Counter proposal by Janice. Armbands could be worn on the 15th anniversary of the Lord Regent's unlawful arrest. Action. Motion approved unanimously. Proposal by Teodoro Benitez. Campaign demanding wider deployment of the Wall of Light brought back into use in Karnaca by Duke Luca Abel. The boldest measures are the safest. Action. Vote delayed until word comes from Grand Guard leadership, collecting facts on reductions in crime across Karnaca. Proposal added to agenda for next gathering. Cocktails and spirits served. Lovely. We'll have a small talk and then, get down to business with the real business, which is bullshit.